Why I voted for Trump was for the prices to come down at the grocery store. Nothing's come down.
Trump's campaign promises are breaking like eggshells as more and more Trump supporters are coming out of the woodwork to say that these tariffs spell absolute disaster for them. Folks, it turns out that we are officially in the season of fuck around and find out.
We're now a new generation. We are the walk around and find out generation.
More and more of these Trump supporters are going on CNN, MSNBC, and sharing their stories of how these tariffs are absolutely ruining their personal lives. I've got those testimonials to show you, as well as some polling that shows that 3 out of 4 Trump supporters say that these tariffs will hurt the economy. I've got all of that and more, so if you guys are enjoying the coverage, make sure to like the video and double check that you're subscribed. For every sub, we'll send a dunce cap to a Trump supporter who doesn't know the definition of the word tariff.
He's a nincompoop. You're a nincompoop. You know that, right?
The tariffs, I don't get, and it kind of concerns me a little bit. But I'm hoping it will make sense shortly. Right now, it kind of doesn't to me.
I am too a little scared about the tariffs because the stock market has plunged a few times, and I'm glad I just bought a newer car in December because the price is all up right now, so I'm still a little worried. I think it's been awful. I'm sorry. I had to get an oil change, and it's not even at a regular car dealer. It cost me $10 more. So I'm not seeing it, and why I voted for Trump was for the prices to come down at the grocery store. Nothing's come down. That's why I voted for Trump. And they're talking about your cell phones, your cars, and everything is just going higher. I know it might hurt for us now, but when it hurts now, it's hard to recover for someone like me. So it really hits me in the gut.
It hits all of us in the gut, Miss Ma'am, and some of us didn't vote for this. These Trump supporters are somehow surprised that the tariffs affect them and are asking for specific carve-outs to protect their industries and protect them from having to pay for these tariffs while the rest of us suffer the brunt of it. Here's a Trumper on CNN specifically asking Trump to protect his industry from the tariffs because he knows that they're bad for business.
Well, I would say that I understand that what you're trying to do is to be able to even the playing field across the world to be able to make trade more beneficial to the United States citizen. And I get that. At the same time, I really want you to focus on what's going on in the housing industry to make sure that none of those tariffs have an impact on our ability to be able to put affordable homes on the ground. Because right now, that's the biggest issue is housing affordability. And the biggest issue that we're facing right now that goes along with that is the interest rates that the consumers are having to pay. If we have an escalation in prices across the board, inflation increases, that means the Fed's not going to cut the rates, and then that means less consumers are going to be able to afford a mortgage. So the idea here is for us to get interest rates to start coming down. That would bring more people into the market to be able to afford homes, because it does come down to a monthly payment for a lot of people, and that's part of the interest rate and their mortgage payment.
What do you guys think? What's the over-under on Trump listening to this guy and carving out an exception for the housing market because he cares about our mortgage costs? I'm going to go ahead and say that Trump doesn't give a flying fuck.
I don't give a flying fuck into a rolling donut.
He's only making exceptions for billionaire companies like Apple and Amazon. He's not going to make an exception for house builders. And as the days go on, it seems like more and more of these Trump supporters are waking up to the truth. Voters more than 3-1 see Trump's tariffs hurting U.S. economy in the short term, but less bearish on long-term effects. Them being less bearish on long-term effects goes to show that a lot of Trump supporters still trust him when it comes to this economic strategy. They still think that he has some sort of plan. They believe him when his team says that we're just going through a rough period right now, that we need some short-term pain for long-term gain. And we'll touch on that later, but for right now, let's keep looking at this poll. In the wake of Trump imposing tariffs on dozens of countries, a vast majority of voters, 72%, think the tariffs will hurt the U.S. economy in the short term, while a smaller majority, 53%, think the tariffs will hurt the U.S. economy in the long term as well. Most people can see the writing on the wall when they go to get their oil change and they have to pay an extra $10, or when they buy their Fabletics or something and they have to pay a tariff surcharge. They put 2 and 2 together and realize that this is going to be the case across the board. Trump's tariffs are just taxes on the poor and the middle class, and the more people realize that, the less and less popular they'll become. So far, Trump has been playing word games when it comes to these tariffs, convincing people that they would be a good idea. And the holes that were being poked in his plan by economists back before the election are growing wider and wider.
But to me, it's the most beautiful word in the dictionary.
Tariffs, do you think that will bring in the revenues? To use another bipartisan group,
Yeah.
Peterson Institute, they say they only bring in $200 billion. That is that's barely the cost of 2 of your promises.
Trump was specifically told that these tariffs would not bring in enough revenue to put a dent in the U.S. debt. But Trump is bragging about the amount of money that he's making from these tariffs, seemingly oblivious to the fact that we're the ones paying the Trump administration billions of dollars a day. Check this out.
We're making a fortune with tariffs, $2 billion a day. Do you believe it? I was told $2 billion a day. You know, I get hit by the press about tariffs. We're making $2 billion. This isn't 35 million, that's peanuts. $2 billion a day.
Yeah, that's $2 billion in extra taxes that the Trump administration is making you and I pay. And unfortunately, not all of these MAGA morons have caught on to the grift. Some of them still seem to think that Trump knows what he's doing, despite him shitting the bed and calling it made.
It's a little short-term pain for some long-term gain.
I feel like I'm not that worried. Seems like Trump knows what he's doing.
I think he's got a plan bigger than what people see it as.
I do think it was part of the plan. He's not stupid, right? Like, he knows what he's doing. He's gotten to this point.
I think the United States needed some tightening. I think we're going to see something positive from these changes.
I think something had to happen eventually. Now it actually is. So I'm excited for the future.
Sounds like he knows what he's talking about. He is a businessman at the end of the day, so.
Now, these are Trump supporters who are on Wall Street, so clearly they have the money to withstand the economic storm that's coming, while poor MAGA supporters are, well, left in the dust. But I think the writing is on the wall. I mean, you saw with that polling, 53% of people say that these tariffs are bad for the economy in the long run. And the longer that this goes on, the higher that percentage gets.
There are some voters that say, look, I'm not sure about this, but I'm willing to give it a shot, or I'm willing to wait and see. I think the fundamental thing to understand, though, isn't even from this focus group. It's from the hundreds of focus groups that I did going into this election, really understanding that the number one thing that Donald Trump was hired to do by so many of these voters was lower prices. I mean, that is what put him in the White House. It is why people overlooked his myriad flaws. It goes to sort of the central offering of Donald Trump, which is that he is a businessman. This is how these voters think of him, and that he will do good things for the economy. And so to me, what is interesting is when you see a lot of this polling come out showing that Trump's overall approval rating is actually higher than his approval rating on the economy. Voters are starting to doubt that he is going to do the good things for the economy that he promised. And remember, he told people he was going to lower grocery costs on day one. And for a lot of voters that we were talking to, even though the macro economy under Joe Biden was strong, we just listened to people talk over and over again about how they were struggling with grocery prices and with housing prices and with inflation. And so right now what you're seeing is voters really starting to say, is he going to focus on this at all? Is he going to do something about this? Because this is the thing that impacts me personally. And so when he hasn't brought inflation down, when he hasn't brought prices down, and then on top of that, he's introducing this uncertainty into the market. And look, there's a lot of people in these groups who work for small businesses who are in the supply chains, and they understand. They'll tell you, if this goes through, not only will it decimate my business, but also how am I supposed to plan now for what I'm going to do going forward? So a lot of uncertainty about the tariffs, even among Trump voters.
I'm willing to say that there's uncertainty around these tariffs for both Trump supporters and everybody else. Economists much smarter than me have called this the worst economic policy decision in 100 years. So I don't think things are going to get much better anytime soon. I'm Tony Hinderman with Really American, and I'll catch you next time.